Welcome to Content That Converts, a masterclass created for aspiring creatives and online creatives. This is basically a masterclass that's going to show you how to create content that's going to allow you to convert it into paid sales, products, or clients. So before we get started, make sure to download your workbook. You should have gotten an email with the workbook, and then there should be the workbook on the Teachable platform as well. If you download that, you can fill it out online with the interactive PDF tool. Otherwise, you can print it off if you're like me and fill it out as we go along. Basically, you'll want to fill this out as we go along because I will be asking you the questions as we go through the course. So let's go ahead and dive right into the content. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Nicole, and I am the content creator and founder of The Daily Pursuit. It is an online community for aspiring creatives who desire to create a life of significance. I am a leadership coach. I work one-on-one with women who aspire to create a life of significance and freedom through an online business, and I help these ladies become female entrepreneurs and step into their leadership potential. Other than that, I am obsessed with magical things. I'm a very spiritual person. I love cheeseburgers and french fries, and I am a life entrepreneur. So, like I said, the premise of this entire course is so we can help convert your community members into paid clients or paid services or paid products. Whatever your service-based businesses or product-based businesses, using the content that you create and messaging it effectively so you can convert them into sales. That way you can focus less on investing in advertisements and ad campaigns to boost your marketing. We're going to instead focus on how content can do that for you. So we're going to talk about my 3-step formula for creating content that converts. You're going to learn how to create content that builds your authority. I'm going to show you how to create content that increases your traffic. I'm also going to show you how to create content that creates consistent income by converting readers into paid clients and or customers. A note I want to make before we get started is to stay in your own lane and to focus on creating more than you're consuming when it comes to content. So a huge mistake I see in the online creative world is that a lot of content creators are crafting their content based on what everyone else is doing, and this is very unintentional. It happens more often than we think and without recognizing it. So I want you to get in the mindset of creating content based on your community and targeted audience. So that means staying in your own lane. That means focusing on creating content more than you're consuming it. While it's important to consume other people's content and to engage with them and build your rapport, I want you to create time and space for that and not let it overtake your creative time away from creating content. Creating content needs to be easy and natural for you. So when you start to produce from a place of creativity, you're going to find that creating content comes from a place of flow. It's not so hard, it's not so overwhelming, and it's not so frustrating to create content that's based on your own ideals and values if you're creating from a space of flow, of love, of inner creativity. And if you're staying in your own lane, it's easier to do that. So if you're trying to create something that isn't aligned with your own personal brand values, your inner values, you're going to find it really hard to produce content, right? I think we've all kind of hit that point in our businesses where creating content has become frustrating because we can't create content that's original anymore, right? It has to be uniquely crafted based on our own views and perspectives because just about every topic has been talked about. So it can get really frustrating. So that's why I always advise people, stay in your own lane and try to create more than you're consuming. So whether you're creating content for your blog, your social media, your podcast, the goal of your content needs to be to serve your ideal audience, right? I think we can all agree on that. To provide them with valuable information and action steps that ultimately lead them towards your signature paid offer or services. So if you go into content creation with the proper mindset, you're going to be successful. It's going to be easier for you. But if you go in with the idea that you're creating content strictly to make money, then it's going to be harder to attract money into your business, okay? Instead, I want you to focus on thinking of how you can impact and serve your ideal readers, and the sales are going to be easier and they're going to flow easier if you're not in the headspace of just creating money for the sake of creating money and not serving. So again, the goal of your content needs to be to serve your ideal audience. And I just want to note before we keep going, if you do have any questions, to put them towards the end of the program or to write them down. And if you're watching this as the class, as a replay, then to just go ahead and feel free to email me any questions you might have or reach out to me on social media about this course if you have any remaining questions towards the end. So I just wanted to point that out before we move on to the bread and butter of the course. So step one is to create a brand strategy, right? Seems pretty simple. Developing a brand strategy helps you stay in your own lane, right? That way you're focusing on your brand, your story, and emphasizing how you can impact and serve your audience. Notice that I'm emphasizing you, okay? We're talking about your audience and your community, not anyone else's. When you can impact the lives of your audience members, they're going to trust in you, they're going to build loyalty with you, therefore they're going to want to work with you and they're going to want to purchase from you. So I want you to continuously ask yourself, how can I serve and impact my audience further? And that is through creating a brand strategy. So there are 4 different keys to a brand strategy or a content marketing strategy. And I don't want to overcomplicate this. It's basically creating like you would a marketing strategy, but for your content. That way you have a clear definition of what your goal is, how you're going to carry that out, and what that's going to look like for your business. So this is also laid out in your guidebook, so make sure you have that with you. Or if you want to pause this and grab that real quick, I would advise you to do so. But number 1 is your goals. How are you going to measure success? So think in terms of milestones. You can be a certain amount of money, amount of income, number of email subscribers to your email list, or number of page views per month, okay? It doesn't matter what your goal is. It's individualized to each person, right? My goals are going to look a little different than yours, but establishing the goal and the intention of your content is going to allow you to create better content that's effectively messaged better because you have an idea of how you're going to measure your success, if that makes any sense at all, which it should. It's pretty simple. Next, you want to know who you're serving, right? I mean, we've heard this a million times over and over. Who are you serving? Who is your ideal client? Who is your ideal reader avatar? So you should already have a pretty good idea of who you're serving, but maybe you don't. And oftentimes that we're so far into our businesses, we forget who we are serving, right? Because as our businesses evolve, as our communities evolve, sometimes our ideal client kind of changes. They evolve with us, right? So it's good every now and then to just get back on this and ask yourself, who am I serving? What are their needs? What are their struggles? How can I help them? So you need to know who they are in order to write to them, right? So if you find that lately you've kind of been struggling with content, it's not really converting like you'd like, it's probably because your messaging isn't speaking specifically to your ideal client or reader, or maybe you just need to reassess who they are. The next thing you want is to create your brand story. So tying together your unique selling point and tying it into your messaging so it attracts your ideal reader so they ultimately become an ideal client, right? So your brand story is simple, right? The ideas and messages that you want to communicate that demonstrate how you're different from your competition. Tell me how you got to got to be where you are today. Show me the transformation that you personally experienced and how that transformation gave you the knowledge and expertise to help me out, okay? So it's really just emphasizing those unique factors, that experience, those stories, and that knowledge that no one else has but you, and tying it into your messaging so you stand out from the competition and you can relate with your readers on a much deeper level. Lastly, you want to map out your content, right? Plan it out. So whether you have a blog, a podcast, or you're strictly on social media, you want to have a plan of action. And I always say you need to have flexibility in your content or your content calendar or whatever you use, because there's a lot of times where I go to publish content that's been scheduled and it just doesn't sit right with me. So I leave some flexibility. If it doesn't feel good, I don't publish it. So allow there to be flexibility in this, but have an idea of what kind of content you're creating and when it's going to be published, right? Because you do want to have consistency. You do want to look professional. You are a professional, right? So plan it out. And there's no one-step strategy to mapping out your content, whether you use an old-fashioned pen and paper, you use the notes of your iPhone calendar, you use a project management system like Asana, whatever works for you, use that and plan it out. Simple. But I do want to say before we move on that there isn't a universal strategy to creating your content, okay? Like I said, it just needs to be tailored to your business and what your business looks like. So this is kind of just like a template, 4 steps to creating your content strategy. So when creating your content, you need to see what's already out there and how your new content can add value to your reader in a way that they didn't know before. It's so simple. Like, I cannot stress how simple content marketing is, because we tend to overcomplicate everything and make it a lot harder than it should be when it is so easy. Okay, so in this step, brand strategy, I have some questions for you, and they are in your workbook, and they're going to help you create your content, right? So here are some questions I have to ask you, and if you want to pause this and fill out your guidebook, your workbook, after I ask you these questions and then move on, that would be perfect. That way, when we move on to the next section, you can fill out your questions, you can pause it, do it however works best for you. So who do you love to connect with online, and who do you usually connect with? What are some fears you have about showing up online? We all tend to have fears, right? Like, maybe you still haven't gotten on Instagram Live because it scares the shit out of you. Okay, write those fears down. But how is this fear not allowing you to show up and create content? And then, how can beginning to show up online improve your life and business? I love that question, because I'm asking you to really look inside yourself and ask if showing up online would even improve your lives, because maybe it's not going to help you. Maybe you're at a point in your business where you don't need to be getting on Instagram Live. You're not at a point yet where you have to get on Instagram Live to connect with your audience. Maybe what you're doing now is working. And then lastly, how can showing up online help your audience? So make sure you get on your workbook, fill out these questions. We're going to move on to step 2, your story. So share your story, right? Keep building on it. Show your journey and take your readers on that journey with you. Hold their hands. We're not all experts, okay? No matter what we think. We don't know everything there is to know in our niche. I don't care what anyone says. We are all still learning. There's always so much more to learn. The beauty about that is being able to position ourselves in a unique way that shows our readers how we can relate with them. So once you develop your brand story, you can take that and carefully craft content that demonstrates that unique position that you have. In turn, again, making them want to work with you, saying, hey, I've been there before, I can help. So again, you can pause this part, but this is the action steps I want you to take, answering these questions. What is your story? Highlight who you are now and who you were before. I want you to write out your story, highlighting the transformation and how it can help your readers and how you transformed from your struggle, okay? When we can create a story, and I'm not saying create a fictitious story, I'm saying creating our story that we can share with others so they can know I'm not alone. I'm not the only one experiencing this. This girl has been through this and she has come through it. Therefore, she has experience in it and she can help me overcome that same struggle. Whether you're a relationship coach, whether you're a blog coach, whether you sell blog products or Pinterest products, whatever you do, your services and products serve someone on a deeper level and it helps them transform. But there is a story with you too, right? There's a reason you're doing the work you do. Highlight that. And a lot of the times our ideal reader avatars, our ideal clients tend to be a version of ourselves, right? So I really want you to hone in on this story and highlight the before and after. So when you're creating content, you can tell your readers, hey, I got your back. I've been there before, girl, and you don't need to go through that. I want you to be able to come through and see the light easier than I ever had to. It took me too long to overcome this struggle, and you shouldn't have to continue to feel the way I used to, right? And it doesn't always have to be some heartfelt, terrible tragedy kind of transformation, right? It can be something super simple, as in I was making $20 here and there in my business, and one day I discovered this crazy method or signature method that allowed me to start pulling in more income, and now I work full-time on my business, making a full-time income supporting my family. Okay, it doesn't have to be this drawn-out, dramatic story, but just highlight your story, write it down, use it to message, to create messaging that serves your audience. So third, I want to talk about in step 3, the confidence to show up. And showing up as a leader, an expert, and business owner is hard if you're not confident in yourself, if you're not confident in your business. You have to be confident in yourself, and this needs to resonate into your content, because if you're not confident in your content, people are going to see that. I want you to declare that you are confident in yourself, that your readers need your message, that the messaging and content you provide them changes their lives and it impacts them in a way that no one else can. So developing the courage to try requires the ability to recognize that you are so worthy of everything you desire. If you desire to impact others through relationship coaching or health coaching, step into your why, which really resonates from that story, that highlighting transformation that we talked about in the previous step. Feel the joy and passion that comes when you get to serve your clients on a deeper level and recognize that it's time to put yourself out there. You cannot keep creating from a small place. Big things happen when you allow yourself to think in possibilities. Putting yourself out there and sharing your message with the world is going to grow your business tremendously, increase your traffic, and make it easier for you to start creating consistent income from content that converts. There is a sense of fear when it comes to showing up online. Like, it really sounds scary, right, when you think about it. But the courage to try means living with the fear, but going for it anyways. And it means to stop making excuses as to why you're not putting yourself out there, okay? And like I said, not all of us have to put ourselves out there in the same way, whether that be, going on live streams, whether that means going on Instagram live videos or stories. It really just depends on how you run your business. But you have to have confidence in your content at the very least, and yourself, if you want to impact your community. Because if you lack that courage to try, you're never going to see the big transformation that is out there for you and for your business to grow. So the questions I want to ask you in this action step for confidence is, what does your inner self feel when she gets to share her message? So when you get to share your word, your story, how does the highest version of yourself feel? Not your small self, not your ego, but really tapping into who you are inside. I want you to write down how she feels, how good that makes her feel. Maybe she's so freaking joyful or happy and over the moon, okay? And what qualities does your inner self have when she's able to step into this role of a leader, okay? Courage. She's bold. She's experienced, okay? Whatever qualities that looks like. But why are you a leader, and how does that show up for you daily? How do you commit to becoming the leader you're meant to be? Why is your message important, and how can it help someone right now? How does your client transform because you showed up for them? And how will you continue to build courage and confidence daily? And these questions are honestly some like deep questions. Like, this shit is hard, right? And you're probably thinking, wow, I thought we were talking about content, and we are. But when you get to really tap into your highest self and ask yourself these questions, it's going to feel like this big giant fur coat being like taken off your shoulders, or this big weight being taken off your shoulders, because creating content's easy, right? Like I said in the beginning, we think that it should be so hard for our content to convert, or it should be this lengthy process, but it should be easy. And it's about stepping into your leadership role and being able to embrace your message and have the confidence to share that and being confident in that. It's not about having ad campaigns or marketing campaigns and strategies. It's really about wanting and having the desire to serve and be a leader, and messaging that in important ways to impact someone else's life. So now for the fun part, I'm going to show you my personal 3-step formula to crafting content. And as all of you may know, if you've followed me for some time now, I don't really believe in like formulas and templates, but this is kind of a tried and true method for me, kind of like a step-by-step questionnaire in a sense that allows me to create content in forms of social media and forms of Facebook posts. This formula I use mostly, to create content for my Instagram and for my Facebook page. That's where I show up for my community members. I do have my blog, but this is the formula that I'm talking about that I use for social media, but this can help you in any form of content for any platform that you use. So, 3 steps. And by 3 steps, I mean 3 questions. So the first is, what do my clients need and or struggle with? How do they currently feel? How do they want to feel? I want you to start with a pain point that grabs their attention. The second question to ask is, how can you present your expertise? So relate with them and present them with reasons to trust you, okay? Tie in that brand story. Make them feel emotion. Make them feel moved. How can you bridge that gap? Present them with a solution that shows them how they can overcome their struggle, and with something they didn't know was out there, aka your signature offer, your product, program, whatever it is. And then this kind of plays off the third question, but I want you to give them a reason why to take action. Present them with a call to action. They need to know what to do to experience this transformation. So here's kind of what it looks like for me when I'm creating creating content for. This is what I'm going to show you is for a post on Facebook. So this is kind of like step by step what this looks like when I'm doing this. Sorry, I was getting a dry throat. Okay, so the first question, what do my clients need and or struggle with? Well, my clients struggle with starting their own business. They feel stuck and overwhelmed with all the information out there. They kind of feel this pull, this inner signal to chase their business, but they're not sure how to do that. And then I start with a pain point that grabs their attention, and I use this as my headline. Stop giving power to your bullshit beliefs. That's pretty powerful, right? And you do not have to use profanity to grab people's attention, guys. That's just, when I feel something, I feel it so hard that these words just come out. So anyways, just know you don't have to use profanity. Second step, how can you present your expertise? Relate with them and give them a reason to trust you. Tie in your story. Now this is kind of the shortened version of it, but I wrote, I used to think I wasn't an expert, therefore I wouldn't be able to quote unquote call myself a coach and wouldn't be able to profit from an online business. Next, how can I bridge that gap? So basically, I want them to invest in the Pursuit of Purpose Mastermind course because I believe that this is going to give them the best solution for starting their own business when they're feeling stuck and overwhelmed. So I wrote, they think they need to invest in business models and templates to grow or start their business. I show them how to start a business intuitively and easily with the Pursuit of Purpose Mastermind course. Now giving them something to act on. Now, I like to use really powerful words and brand words that relate to my business that are going to make them feel something. So I wrote, declare on a soul level that now is your time to finally become the female entrepreneur you are meant to be. But more than that, embrace your inner goddess. She's a badass and she's waiting to be awakened. So here's what this looks like on my Facebook page, right? So, add all the cute emojis, kind of space it out so it's easier to read, but whether you create this for a blog post or for Facebook or Instagram, like I said, use your own way of formatting it, whatever works best for you. But basically, this is what the formula in action looks like. And I'm not going to read it all, but basically, I took what I answered in the previous formula or in those questions, and carefully kind of crafted and formulated it into this kind of mini blog post, I would call it, on my Facebook page. And as you can see down below, after my call to action, I give them a direct link to the mastermind course, right? Because this is what she needs. This is what my ideal client needs, and I know this deep in my heart. And this is the messaging that I've created for her to say, hey, I'm here for you. I've been there before, and this is how I can help serve you on a deeper level. Now, I also want you to know that your content doesn't always have to be promotional, meaning you don't always have to give them a call to action that tells them to purchase from you or enroll in a program, right? It can simply just be content that's so powerful, you tell them what the next step is, okay? It doesn't always have to be a paid offer or program or product. But when you can move your reader and use content in a powerful way, it's easier for you to start converting those ideal readers into paid clients, into sales. And I know it sounds so bad, and we're always told not to think of our ideal readers or community members as sales. I'm not thinking of them as sales. I'm thinking of how I can impact them, okay? I'm not looking at them as dollar signs. I'm thinking of how I can transform their lives, how the content that I create for them is going to help them in ways they don't even know yet, okay? But it is okay to want to promote your programs, to want to promote your offers because you worked hard on them. That's your life's work. That's what gives you your income, right? So don't think it's bad to promote your programs and offers and want money because that's okay. But I don't want you to go into this with a mindset that you're only creating content for money and that you don't care about your clients, okay? Because certainly none of us feel that way, right? So, in a nutshell, I'm going to conclude this course by saying thanks for joining me. I hope this was very informational for you. I know that you're going to be able to come out of this course with this huge revelation that, holy crap, This is so much easier than I've ever been taught before because it doesn't have to be hard, guys. It's so easy. Just use this simple formula to start creating content that's going to start impacting your readers. So be sure to download that workbook if you already haven't. That way you can implement everything we went over. And again, if you have any questions or you want to talk this out, feel free to email me. Get on social media. I'm on Instagram, like I said. Send me a DM. I'd love to connect with you. I will see you later.